Good morning. It's Ginny and Tim from DS Tech, and we're going to talk about, are your warranties warranted? And kind of like, are you getting the most out of your hardware? So I know
Some of
as
the
a
advantages of having a warranty, why it makes sense and for certain things and all that kind
for
of
some things it doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk all about all that kind of stuff. So before we head into that, though, make sure you visit dstech.net and sign up for our newsletter under news so that you get all kinds of tips and stuff like this that we talk about. And you'll get, I also tell you what we're going to talk about the day before on the newsletter. So if you want to show up live and ask questions. So what do you think? What's warranted to have a warranty or whatever?
Well, I
We're
like to
trying
go
to
back
put
to
W's
a
in
little
there.
kind of anecdotal story when I first was working and going to college for a little bit in Green Bay and stuff like that. I was working at a Best Buy, and so here at me, young 19-year-old, just working at Best Buy. I don't know, they'll sell you a $2 warranty on a pair of $10 earbuds. You know what I mean? Everything is they try to get you to sell warranties. So when I was working there, I asked.
Walmart does that too.
Yeah, Walmart will do it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the stores.
Target does it. Yeah,
wherever you
everybody
go.
does.
So,
eBay.
yeah, yep.
eBay does too. They
Yep,
they have that
always have the warranties,
Foursquare
yep.
warranty. Yeah.
And so I asked the question, of someone that's actually been there and has worked there for a while. I said, what are the things you would actually buy a warranty on in the store? And then he told me, and this is granted, circa 2004, 2005, computers and cell phones. Cell phones are relatively new at the time. They're tiny, parts go bad. You got to just usually swap them out. It's hard to just replace them. And then with computers. So those are the two things even back then that it was kind of instilled to me that these are worth it to have a warranty. I benefited from it too, where I had bought one of the first generations of the iPod, when it first came out. And then when it ended up dying on me, I got a new version and they just basically totaled it. It wasn't worth repairing or getting me a new model, so I got the next model up, and that happened a couple times. So sometimes warranties can be worth it on electronic devices, mainly is the biggest thing where and now, back then they're like, oh, don't worry about getting a warranty on your stove or refrigerator. But nowadays there's so much technology in those devices too.
Maybe.
It might be more swinging that way too for other things. Basically anything with electronics in it, you're better off getting a warranty. It's not as mechanical. You can't just replace it, fix it yourself as easily. So that's kind of where I look at that. So
unless it's something really cheap.
Yeah, if it's cheap, if you're buying like a $20 pair of headphones and they're trying to sell you a $3-4 warranty, I could see you're like, well, is it worth it or not? I'll just buy a new pair of headphones versus dealing with the warranty exchange. But now if you got a $2,000 laptop, say you bought a $2,000 laptop 2 years ago and you bought the 3-year warranty with it. Well, now the motherboard's dead on it, and now you're like, it's going to be $400 to replace the motherboard. Is it worth spending that money on this old laptop? Should I put it towards a new laptop? What should I do?
You might not even be able to get a compatible.
Yeah, you might not even get a compatible one now with supply chain and stuff like that. So,
but if it was under warranty,
they'll either, if they can't, then they'll
replace
you replace it. So that's, warranties can definitely have a big advantage with computers. And then especially when you're looking into a business, you want to just deal with your day-to-day operations. You don't want to have to deal with all the hardware, the computer swapping, all that kind of stuff. So having the warranty is just like a peace of mind. Like you don't have to worry about it. You're like, the computer's working. If it breaks, it'll be taken care of, especially with servers. The biggest thing is the computer servers. We always quote, at least for us, is it's 5 years on the servers, because usually after about 5 years, you're going to want to age that out or look at new hardware anyway to keep up with the times if you're self-hosting. So usually you look at to replace at that time, maybe extend the warranty a year or two if you just can't quite afford the new server right now. And it's still running okay for your needs. But getting that warranty is helpful because I see it where a hard drive fails or a controller for a hard drive fails. Rather than having us try to diagnose, figure out what it is, then we got to go find the exact part number, properly order it, get it shipped, then replace it. You're wasting a lot of time during that process, where if you had the warranty direct through Dell or whatever manufacturer you had, the response times will be quicker. They're going to have direct access to their warehouses. They can get the parts quicker, and they'll send a tech right on site to fix it right then and there too. So it's less downtime is the biggest thing, is I can't stress enough. And as a business, 1 day of downtime is a lot. So if you can minimize that from 7 days of downtime, server fails, to 3 or 4, it's going to be a huge money saver as well as time saver for everyone. So
we want to be efficient. We want your business to be efficient.
Yes.
So absolutely.
Yep.
I do quote on laptops. Usually I add a 3-year warranty.
Yep, laptops even more so than the desktop workstations. I mean,
Absolutely.
desktops I still will do, 3 years because you
Desktops
can
usually
swap
have
out a
3 years
thing.
anyway.
Oh, okay, yep.
They usually do. And
We
one
have
of
the
the
quote master here, so she
yeah.
gets the quote, so.
So, and one of the things I tell my customers too is we quote the next tier, the business tier hardware. So it automatically comes usually with 3-year warranties, except for laptops. Laptops sometimes generally come
more
with
more
1 year.
expensive because usually more likely to fail, more components smashed in a tinier area. But
Yeah.
you can always still get the 3 year
Exactly.
as well.
So I always quote that,
Yep.
because if you're paying $2,000, like you said, for a laptop,
Mhm.
and then the hard drive fails, it's much easier to get in touch with the manufacturer, and then they'll swap it out, or they'll just send you a new laptop. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's a pretty slick deal. I've seen it. It doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally where they'll just total it out because they can't find the part, they can't swap it. The amount of business time is going to be too much, so
Yeah.
then they'll just get you
as a
the
home
laptop.
user now, though, if I'm only spending $500 or $700 on a tier one, home quality laptop, well, 1 year is probably plenty.
Yeah, it's
Because
on
then,
your use, Yeah,
yeah,
in a year or two, you're probably going to get a new version or a model
exactly.
anyway. Businesses, you try to have it last longer, and usually you're only using it for like that one specific use case.
Mhm.
So I've noticed that you have a little bit less, I guess you call it like OS rot with the work computers than your home.
Oh yeah, we
But
gotta
it's still
talk about
important to
that.
have that because what'll happen is as you add a program to a computer and then you remove it, and you maybe add a new program to a computer and remove it, and as you're installing and uninstalling, mainly at home with like games and things like that, you'll notice your computer in a year is not starting up as fast as it used to. And you're like, is this just in my head or what's going on here? But it is usually
No,
slower.
it really is.
And so that they call it OS rot, or it's, in the computer term they call it Windows rot because it really doesn't happen on a lot of operating systems as much as Windows. But the idea is that it leaves little traces of components behind or different startups, and it'll just make the computers run slower. So over time, 5 years on a server anyway, you're going to want to swap them out, and it can just help with that. Or if you have too much rot in there, things are going bad. The best thing you can do basically is format a computer. If you had a home computer and you're just noticing it's going really sluggish and slow, if you saved all your pictures and all your data that you cared about and you essentially wiped it and factory reset the computer, that will clean out a lot of that OS
Yep.
rot. But again, with the workstations, with businesses, it's not as prevalent because you're doing the same thing every day for the most part on your business. If you have a teller station at a bank, it's doing that, or if you're in an office in a hospital, you're just doing diagnosis. You're doing like the one task over and over. You're not installing a ton of things, so it's less likely to happen in a business. But it does happen, especially with Windows. So you'll notice that 2, 3, 4 years down the road, your computer's just acting really sluggish, all that kind of stuff. So that's, I guess, what you call Windows rot. So the best way to do it is it's a format wipe and reload, or in the case of a server, after 5 years is finally aged out, get that new server, you're going to reload everything fresh on it, transfer your data over, and now you're flying again with that. So
Yeah, so you're saving time and money again,
yes.
right? So that's important.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the basics of warranty. I would always get it on a computer, and this was even before I worked at DS Tech, just from kind of my little bit of, like I said, at Best Buy, from what I've seen all the returns come into the stores, at the electronic stores, and you definitely get the cell phones and the computers way more than the TVs and things like that. So
Yeah,
definitely in our
for
business,
sure.
you see those computers go, and it's all about the response time, fixing it quickly. And like I said, by getting the warranty direct to the manufacturer, they know the exact part number, the warehouse, they can get it to you a lot quicker than us that are just trying to search, find it, and try to get the exact part number.
And speaking of manufacturer's warranties, I always quote, if you're looking, or shopping for your home laptop or whatever, I always quote Pro Support or Premier Support.
Yeah,
because
go up a notch.
Yeah, get that next tier because you'll be happier with your communications with the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for sure.
Usually a little quicker response time, and it's a little more local based to your area depending where you're at. So it usually will help as well. So
yeah,
that's kind of the gist of the warranties. When are warranties warranted? My answer is computers.
Computers.
It's just the way it is, and then it's just a matter of whether you want to do the 3 or the 5, how much you're willing to spend. But I mean, I look at it as if you're spending X amount of money on a server, how much are you going to want to insure that server for 5 years? That amount of cost and that peace of mind is worth it. So sometimes people get price shocked at how much a good warranty can cost, but you got to remember that's over the course of 5 years, and you're breaking it down. And then if something breaks, I mean, it's not cheap. And then the response time, and think of how much money you lose in one day of down business. You know what I mean? So just it can really pay for itself easily. So don't get sticker shocked is my advice, and go with the warranty. So,
Yeah, good information.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. So go to dstech.net and sign up for our newsletter, and email security@dstech.net if you'd like us to come and scan your hardware. Will warranties be part of that?
Possibly, I know we can. There are certain things with like hard drives. There's the old smart. There's the diagnostics where you can see kind of like as it's starting to age out, and then the idea is that as something is starting to age out, you would want to replace it before it utterly just fails.
So
you know,
we
the
would,
idea of preventative maintenance before it just goes
when
out.
we scan the network, we would be able to kind of like see if how old.
Usually the network is more for, at least from what I'm understanding, the free scans we do are more for vulnerabilities. But I know there are scans out there that can scan for hardware
Well, you know what?
diagnostics as
I
well.
think we do a technology assessment,
Yeah,
right?
where we might look at the age of all your computers and say, hey, all of your computers are like 8, 9 years old here. We're getting kind of, you're kind of, playing on thin ice here. Maybe you want to start upgrading some of the older
Because I remember
systems.
seeing the reports that Dave came back with sometimes.
Yeah.
And some
And
of
I
it
know,
was,
I know we can do hardware reports too, where it'll say the age and what systems are still in warranty.
I don't know if
what
it's free or
systems are
not. You'll have to ask.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But,
Ask.
yeah.
Ask
hurt to
for
ask.
yeah, absolutely. I know that we give advice and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it, right?
Yep, that's
Thank
pretty much
you.
it.
Make it a great day.
Yeah.
See you next time.